Okay, we are live, so we'll see if anybody shows up, and I'm hoping people just choose to ignore my bed behind me because I'm cleaning my sheets right now and I'm going through some spring cleaning. So if you're watching this like sometime in the future, just know that I'm just doing a little bit of spring cleaning today. Hold on, I need to turn up my gain just a little bit. There we go. That's better. I can hear it better now myself because I can hear myself through my microphone. So cute. So we're going to see if anybody shows up, and then 2:10, I'm going to start the episode recap. So if nobody shows up, then it's just going to be a very quick, unedited episode review, kind of like what we did for Beast Morphers. So here's hoping people show up and start chatting with me. I'm going to see if my friends want to come and play like they did last week. Make me feel better if nobody shows up. Okay. Whatever you want to do, Facebook. Oh my goodness, phone. That was really unnervingly loud. If you want to come play. Oh yeah. All right. So I'm hoping people start showing up, but at 2:10, I'm going to start the actual chatting. And again, we are ignoring my bed behind me because I am doing some spring cleaning, and for some reason forgot I was doing a live stream today and decided to not spring clean a lot sooner since I've been up since 5:30. So cute. Hoping somebody comes by to chat soon because it's a little awkward by myself, but what can you do? Let's turn on this too. I forgot to turn on. I am just a mess at the moment. Just forgive me. I'm a mess. There. I mean, it doesn't do a heck of a lot, but at least it does a little bit. So, hi, Dylan. Thanks for coming to play with me today. How are you? I hope you're doing okay. I'm probably going to get wine partway through this again. We'll see. I don't like drinking out of my bottle with lipstick on. I am hanging in there. Is that an option? Just absolutely 100% hanging in there. It's been a weird, wild ride the last few days. So, I'm doing some spring cleaning to alleviate some anxiety, because that's part of my anxiety. Messiness. And when I get into a depressed mood, I don't clean. And then I have anxiety. And then I clean obsessively. So I'm doing a little bit of spring cleaning today too. That's why we're ignoring my bed behind me. Completely and utterly not made. Has shelves I haven't hung up yet. And my slippers are there too. And my cat's on the bed too, but she's out of frame. So, but I am hiding the majority of the mess, which you can actually kind of see at the very edge of the screen. But anyway, so I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. It's fine. I'll be okay. I always get out of this. Hello, Rafael Navarro. How are you today? I hope you are well. You actually made a point to watch the first 2 episodes of the show, the first Power Rangers show you've ever watched. Really? You didn't watch it when you were a kid? I mean, I guess I'm not sure how old you are because like I'm like the perfect demographic. I'm 34. So I was like 7 when the show first came out. So like 28 years ago. So I was the perfect demographic and I've been in and out of it ever since. So there you go. I love you too, Dylan. I love you very much. This thing has been going off like crazy. So we're just gonna not hit my cat. Good. I'm glad I did not hit my cat with my phone, but she still woke up from it and right back to sleep. Great. Some filming I have to do today. So my hair is actually still slightly wet because, again, if you weren't here for it, I forgot that I was doing a live stream today. So noon rolled around and I was like, oh, I might want to get ready for my live stream now. And I air dry my hair. So anyway, I also forgot to do my workout today too. I forgot to go to my workout. Well, I don't go anywhere, but you know. I thought about maybe watching the Super Sentai it's based on to compare the two, but I'm watching a gazillion Asian dramas right now, and I don't want. Yeah, so that's actually what I've been doing when it comes to the Sentai as it came out or as it has been coming out with Zyuranger through Hurricaneger. I'd watch the Sentai and then I'd watch the corresponding Power Rangers season. Obviously, the biggest differences are Ranger and Ranger because they still use the Zyuranger suits in Power Rangers for those, which is during all of Mighty Morphin. But it's actually kind of fun, especially when the shows are similar in story, like Time Force and Time Ranger. The storylines are actually really similar. And same thing with Ranger and Wild Force. Those ones are actually also pretty similar. Oh, didn't know that. Good to know. Okay. That makes sense. You're gonna live stream later today? Good. I will stop by if I can. I do have filming to do. I have to do after this. I've got 2 videos that I am still filming 2 videos a day on Saturdays, so I can get ahead just in case I have times like this where I actually don't want to do any filming, but no, I should. But hoping to have I'm almost 2 months ahead, and today's filming should put me 2 months ahead, I think. So now next week I can just do 1 video a week going forward again, which is nice. Oh, you're talking about the Sentai and the Power Ranger season again? There are some that actually, like I said, Time Ranger, which is the Sentai, and Time Force, which is the Power Ranger season. Both of them are pretty similar in story. Obviously, the Sentai goes a bit darker because Standards and Practices is ridiculous in the United States, where in Japan they're not afraid of certain things that we're afraid of here in the United States. So because they have different rules and regulations, so they can let kids shows go dark. Where here, I would say Time Force is probably one of the darkest. That or Lost Galaxy. Lost Galaxy is pretty dark. That's another one that has a lot of really good. Lost Galaxy and Gingaman also have some pretty decent. They are not the same story, but they have some pretty decent like parallels of characterizations and whatnot. So it's another good one. I love the Ranger suits so much, Dylan. You have no idea. I wish that they would have just, I mean, they used like the White Ranger suit, but that's about it. And I mean, you know that, but I'm just saying that just for the sake of the video. But like, yeah, I love those suits a lot. Those suits are really great. Okay, so we should probably just go ahead and start the episode recap here. It's 2:10. Yeah, Ranger suits are the best. So, okay, so Sporix Unleashed is episode 2 of Power Rangers what is it? Dino Fury? Is that what we're my day? We're ignoring the bed. So I'm going to keep saying it just so that anybody who comes in is like, we're ignoring the mess behind me. Okay, so it starts out with the Rangers practicing their morphing. So, because if you guys are at all familiar with the franchise at all, like they have some really like intricate hand movements to morph. And so they're practicing their morphing out, trying to like make it work, and they're running into each other. They're having trouble. So I think that was really fun. We'll talk about that more later. Then at some point, Amelia says, hey, there's 6 dinosaurs here, but there's only 3 of us. Does that mean we can add more Rangers later? And that's when Zato explains that the other Rangers were lost, or that the Ranger keys were lost with the Rangers. So there is no possibility of adding any more Rangers later. We all know that is not necessarily the case. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes to fruition. They end up with Void Knight's detector that he'd used in the first episode, and Ollie had come up with this idea to use that scanner with his mom's drone to try and locate all of the Sporix as soon as possible, so they can just capture them, and then there wouldn't be any need for Power Rangers. But we all know there's going to be a Power Rangers season, and it's only episode 2, so obviously that's not going to work out. They decide to go and try and tell people about the Sporix to try and get people to be concerned and get people to like do something about the Sporix. And so they go talk to the park ranger from before. I think they call him a warden, but they go and speak with him, and he obviously doesn't believe them, but Ollie's mom does. This is also where we make it clear that it's actually the same day, and only probably maybe an hour later or hours later as the first episode, because his mom is still talking with that warden from the first episode, and her equipment is still at Dino Henge. So it's clearly the same day, just a little bit later in the day. They then go to Amelia's place of work, Buzz Blast, our little BuzzFeed nod, which I think is hilarious. And the head of Buzz Blast has created a robot to help her, like a robot assistant. And it is from Hartford Robotics. And anybody who is who knows the franchise or has seen every season of Power Rangers, or at least has seen Operation Overdrive, would know that that is a clear callback to Operation Overdrive. So it'd be really interesting to see if that has anything to do with the story going forward. I would love for there to be a Hartford connection, because we don't really go back to Operation Overdrive very often. It's not, I mean, I don't love Operation Overdrive, but like I like a lot of the stories, and Hartford Robotics is one of them. So anyway, so one of the Sporix hatches into a Sporix beast and is caught on camera, and everybody kind of starts freaking out. So the Rangers go fight it. Zato is able to defeat the Sporix beast with one hit. It just turns into this like puddle of CG goo, slime, whatever. And then the one that was created at the very end of the episode last week shows up and starts fighting the Rangers. As they're kind of fighting, they use this like thing that Zato is able to use, this thing that like makes everything stink around them, and even they're like not able to withstand the smell. And then the first one actually reforms and comes back, and so they're fighting. They end up leaving, the 2 Sporix monsters, or Sporix beasts, end up leaving and going to find Void Knight, and the Rangers return to the base. That's when Ollie tells the Rangers that he went along with his plan with his mom and using Void Knight's scanner, and she's right outside the base, right at Dino Henge, and they're like, oh, she might be in trouble, so they go check it out. Sure enough, she is. Void Knight is trying to use her to find the Sporix for himself. So then they start fighting. The scanner is destroyed. The monster grows. We have our first growth, and we have our first Zord. So Ollie and Amelia go to use their boost keys, and they start fighting this giant monster by themselves. Zato comes with his T-Rex Zord. They had a name for it. I don't remember the name of it, but remember, we don't remember names. at first. They defeat the Sporix, but this is where we get to learn that Sporix are not necessarily destroyed. They just become Sporix again. After the monsters are defeated, they become Sporix again, and they actually are stronger than before. So the concept will be very similar to Time Force, which is going to be to capture the monsters or capture the Sporix after they've been destroyed versus destroying them completely. So I think that's going to be interesting. But Void Knight ends up stealing this one and puts it into a machine. We actually get to see the villain layer be introduced, and they put into this machine. The machine doesn't get powered up enough, so it'll be interesting to see what that machine does as he gets it powered up, because I'm assuming they're going to lose some Sporix and lose some other powers as well, and they're going to eventually get Void Knight will eventually get that machine up and running, and I can't imagine it's going to be well into the first season. I'm thinking it's going to be pretty quick, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Obviously, Ollie learns his lesson by not trying to use civilians in his plans because it's dangerous. So that is kind of the episode. So, but yeah, so that is that's the episode. There are things I liked about this one and things I didn't like. So just like it with Beast Morphers, I kind of put them in good versus bad. There's more good than bad, but we'll kind of talk about the things that I'm not thrilled about, as well as the things that I am thrilled about. Can't remember their names. Pink is Amelia, blue is Ollie, and red is Zato. But I really tried to focus on remembering their names this week because I'm terrible at remembering names. Love when they make nods to past Power Rangers seasons. I do too, and I don't know if this is going to be just a nod or if there is going to be a true connection. It'll be interesting. I know there are some people who want Cassidy from Dino Thunder. Ooh. A little bit fun. I'm sorry. This is why I edit things. But they want Cassidy Cornell from Dino Thunder to be the person who starts Buzz Blast, which would be a really cool callback. And I'd love to see that actress come back. I'm sure if she's not busy, she'd love to, because she's one that does like conventions a lot and stuff. So I'd love to see her back. I'm going to mute this for just a second. Hold on. I had to get that phlegm cleared out because I'm disgusting. So, all right. So let's talk about the things I liked. The morphing sequence is super cool. I really like the morphing sequence. It feels kind of Matrixy in a way, and I really like that. So not necessarily the hand movements, but like the actual, like they're in the box and they're morphing. They're actually like transforming into the Power Rangers. I really like that. I think that's really fun. I think the characters are really fun. I haven't disliked any of the main characters yet, so none of the Power Rangers. So I like Zato, I like Amelia, I like Ollie. All of the characters seem really fun. We'll talk about the minor characters in just a second because I don't necessarily feel that way. This one had a lot of comedy in it, which was nice. I really liked the fact that like they're trying to make Zato very alien. So when they're talking to the warden about the Sporix, and he's like, yeah, right. And then he draws a UFO. He's like, is this their ship? And Zato just very like flatly goes, no. I mean, there were just some really good, funny moments that I really, really appreciated. So I think that the comedy is going to really play well in this season. I hope they don't do really stupid, like slapsticky comedy with characters. I think they're going to, but we'll go in there. But leading into that is Zato's awkwardness. I really love when they take an alien character and make him a little more standoutish with the other characters, and the other characters are, you kind of struggle to like keep him or her from like being too weird in public. So I really like how they're playing with that. I hope they do more with it. I hope that it becomes really a piece of Zato's character as he kind of learns how to integrate in human life. Another one that was really fun was when they go into the city and Zato's like, wow, Earth has really changed. And he's like, I'd like to see a dinosaur. Where are they? And like just that whole notion of like not knowing where he is and not knowing what time frame, what time period he's in, or knowing that the dinosaurs are extinct, that kind of thing. So it's really fun. I really like the sequence at the very beginning where they're training, where they're practicing morphing, because that in itself, like, so one of the things that really bothers me about Power Rangers and about shows like this, so like Gundam is another example of this, where it's like you have somebody who's never done anything like this before, and then you just throw them into the mix and they're like, oh, I know how to do it perfectly. So yeah, there's that. They get him to lose the antenna, but he's still walking around in a weird outfit. I have seen images of him in modern wear, so I'm assuming that's going to change. But yeah, they did make it. They did do a hey, you got to probably hide your antenna sequence, which I thought was good. I did like that as well. But yeah, he's still in the very old outfit. Or I would assume old outfit. I didn't realize that was folded up. Very weird outfit. And so hopefully, I mean, like I said, I've seen images in the future episodes of him wearing more modern clothing. So we'll see. But yeah, so going back to the training thing, I don't love when like you've got people who are not trained Power Rangers and they're like, oh, now I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just able to do it without any trouble. I like when there's struggle, even if the struggle is very minor. Like I'm assuming this is going to be the only time they're ever going to struggle with anything. They might struggle a little bit when Amelia and Ollie end up in a Zord. But like even in the very first episode of Power Rangers ever, like they just get into Zords and like, I suddenly just know how to drive this thing. It's just like, it's I don't know, like obviously it's a kid's show, so I have to like give it some leeway, but I as an adult prefer when it's a little more realistic. So I mean, I can't get too angry about it because again, it's a kid's show, even though the majority of the fans are my age, but whatever, my age and slightly younger. But yeah, so those are the things that I really liked about this particular episode. And the things I didn't like, the minor characters are kind of already getting on my nerves. Ollie's mom is okay. But the boss at Buzz Blast and the warden are already just really annoying. Don't love them. I feel like they're going to be my Ben and Betty this season. Like, I always have that one like minor, like recurring character that just bugs the heck out of me, or a Power Ranger. Sometimes it's a Power Ranger, but there's always like one. And I think that these two are going to be my two, but still. But they're just, I don't know. There's just something about them that just rubs me the wrong way. Just as somebody who really dives deep into characterization, and I try really hard to write characters that make sense to the show, or not show, I don't write shows, but make sense to what it is that I'm writing and creating. So I don't know, it's just, they rub me the wrong way. Don't love them. I don't love them. So we'll see. The Hartford Robotics thing, I love the callback. I really like that storyline from Operation Overdrive. And if you've seen Operation Overdrive, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's probably the most emotional, kind of deep storyline that they have. I mean, not the only one, but probably the number one. And so I really like it. But the robot itself was very like robotic. And if you guys have seen Operation Overdrive, and you know what I'm talking about when I say Hartford Robotics, it just seems like a step backwards. Maybe it's a cheaper robot, I don't know, than what we see in Operation Overdrive. But I don't know, it just seems like a step back. I mean, we do know that this is in the same, because according to Simon Bennett, who is the showrunner, this season is going to be in the main timeline. Because if you guys don't know the franchise, there's multiple timelines now. RPM has one, Dino Charge has one. There's also the Shattered Grid one. The comics, I have to do more understanding, like reading about the comics and whether or not the comics are main timeline or if they're a slightly offset timeline. But yeah, so it's like, I don't know, it just feels like it's a step backward. So I don't know if this is supposed to be before Operation Overdrive, but we don't really do that. We go forward in time like we did with SPD. Matter of fact, SPD is 4 years away. And we're not building to it even a little, because if we were building to it even a little, Zato would not have to hide his antenna. But I digress. I have my issues with SPD. I love SPD. It's one of my favorites, but I have issues with its existence at all. But I don't know. It just feels like a step backwards with having the robot be so robotic, because the one that we're used to in Operation Overdrive, I mean, if it's the same Hartford, I don't know. It's a callback. I don't know if it's going to be the same company. I don't know if there's anything to it or if it was just a mesh, like a callback, just a nod to it. But still, I don't know. I feel like the robot should have been a little more realistic because that's what we're used to. Anyway. And then Russell, he's still flat. And again, I think that this is, I genuinely think after watching now this episode as a director, looking at it from a director's point of view, I think that this is definitely a decision. I don't know if it's Russell's decision. He plays Zato. I don't know if it's Russell's decision. I don't know if it is Simon Bennett's decision. I don't know if it's the director's decision. I don't know whose decision it is for him to be so flat, but it's clearly that he's supposed to be flat because there are moments of not flat, and then there are moments where he falls flat again. It's very strange, especially with the other two Rangers being a little bit more, like out there, a little bit more like exciting. I don't know. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on the episode. So let me get caught up in what is being said here. Shopping montage. They don't do a lot of shopping montages, which is weird because I feel like that's like something they could do. So it'd be fun to see that, but you know. Let them accidentally punch themselves in the face with the first time with the giant robot. See, though, if I'm not completely mistaken, it's so hard for me to tell these days because back in film days when people were using actual film versus digital, it was really easy to tell what was Sentai and what wasn't because they used different sizes of films. We use different size film here than they used. We actually had to downgrade our film here. This is coming from one of the original executive producers of the show who I've known for many years now. But they had to actually downgrade some of the film to try and match. They had to do a lot of color correction and stuff like that to try and match it that well. And I was like, and you still couldn't match it. Like, it's still really easy to tell what's Sentai and what isn't in the original, like, again, during the film times. But now that we're all using digital, it's a lot harder for me to pinpoint. Sometimes I can, but it's really hard for me to pinpoint. So it's like you almost have to have seen the Sentai and know the Sentai really, really well to know what is Sentai footage. But I think to this day, all Zord footage is still Sentai footage. I think. Do not quote me on that. And anybody who knows better can correct me as to that. But I think all Zord footage is still Sentai. So we have to still depend on what the Sentai provides us. So rewatching season 1 of MMPR was strange. In episode 1, they got the morphing powers and call the pilot Zords. And can pilot Zords. Whereas in Jew Rangers, they're ancient warriors awoken from a deep sleep. Exactly. So like we're so dependent on the Sentai footage with a lot of things. And so they just had to let them just know how to do it because there was no awkwardness. Where like in Turbo, there was some awkwardness because there was awkwardness in the Sentai. So I don't know. Make them normal teenagers. Yeah. I mean, they could have done something. I mean, I think Zyuranger was a perfect thing that they could have just transitioned. I mean, I would have really missed what we had. I mean, I probably wouldn't have missed what we had because, like, obviously I wouldn't have known. But, like, I really liked what we did have for the first season of Mighty Morphin. But Zyuranger would have been, like, perfect. Like a perfect storyline to translate. I mean, or just dub over. That was the original plan. They were just going to dub over Jetman. But then they decided to Americanize the show. Years ago, I was in the middle of Gokaiger, the pirate-themed Sentai. I happened to catch an ep of whatever MMPR iteration it was. I was excited to see what they'd done with it. Gokaiger, that's Super Mega Force. Because I know that's the pirate season. Because that was the whole point, is that they were pirates and they were able to use other ranger powers. So that's what we use for our 20th. It was actually the 21st season, but it's fine. It's fine, Saban. It's fine, Saban. It's great. But they weren't space pirates. They were just Earth teenagers. I was like, sad trombone. Yeah, they were just regular teenagers because it was supposed to be the 20th season, or the 20th anniversary. Essentially, it was Super Mega Force. So it was supposed to be the 20th, and so they tried to parallel Mighty Morphin as much as they could. So like their mentor was a talking head. The guy that, owned the place that they went to all the time, his name was Ernie. Matter of fact, the first season of Megaforce, they actually had a color change like they did in the Zordon era. They would have people changing colors sometimes. But in the first season in Megaforce, it was the same color combination. It was red, blue, black, yellow, pink. And then they had the Black Ranger turn to a Green Ranger when they switched Sentais from Super Megaforce. So they wanted it to be as like paralleled as possible with Mighty Morphin as possible, because it was the 20th season. But it was the Super Mega Force was the 21st, which is when the 20th anniversary episode actually first aired. It's fine, Saban. I feel like I can tell the difference, mostly because the locales feel different. Yeah, there are times that was one of the kind of, not one of the reasons, but like one of the good reasons why they moved to New Zealand, because New Zealand's landscape can match better than to Japan's landscape than the desert known as LA can. So it really worked out when they moved to New Zealand. They moved to New Zealand for money purposes. Tony went through that with me. He wasn't part of the show at the time, but Tony explained it to me at one point. I can't remember how he was, but yeah. I mean, he helped one season that was done in New Zealand, but we don't talk about samurai. But yeah, so there are moments, but a lot of times it's like cityscapes. Like I can tell, like I said, sometimes I can tell, but it's a little harder. But yeah. Yes, I only saw up until they started coming out with Shout. I had only seen Jetman and Jew Ranger. Those are the Sentais I'd seen. And so I'm starting to get more familiar, and my only experience with Japanese television before that was anime. So I've not watched a ton of live action, so I'm not super familiar with the locale or the locations at all. So yeah, MMPR. Actually, technically, MMPR is just the first 3 seasons. After that, it's just Power Rangers, and then the normal, like the name of the season. But I will understand what you mean when you just say, if you just PR, then. Yeah, and that one was actually really hard to do production-wise. Again, I don't know anybody from that production, but from what I've understood of that production, it was really hard because they had to pick Sentai footage that did not have Sentai footage that did not necessarily have obviously old Sentais in there, and sometimes they couldn't escape it, so they had to like name these Power Rangers that we've never seen before, and just kind of hope that nobody questioned it. Obviously the adult fans knew that they just came from other Sentais, and the kids, I don't know how they would have reacted because I have no idea. But yeah, that is That is, it would have been really hard to do that one. But they did have cameos from former Power Ranger seasons in Super Mega Force. One of my favorites being the Red Ranger from Jungle Fury, but that's just because he's genuinely my favorite Red Ranger ever. So, hello, Matthew. Thank you for joining. You missed the review, so we're just sitting chatting now until I feel like I'm done. This one went a lot quicker than last one did when I did the review, but which is weird because I had more to say, but you know, it's fun. You love J-dramas, the non-toku ones. See, that's the thing, is I'm really getting into toku. I am super getting into toku, and I mean, like, obviously I've always been kind of into toku because of Power Rangers, because really Power Rangers is kind of a toku show, and I love Dakota, which is obviously in America they made it for the American audience, which when I say America, I mean like the North American continent, because I understand that I don't live in America, I live in the United States. It drives me crazy when people are like, I live in America. No, you live on America, on North America. You don't live in America. You live in the United States. We are not the only state or the only country within North America. And there's also South America. Anyway, sorry, I don't know why that gets to me. But anyway, so for the North American audience, Dakota was turned into making fun of Power Rangers. They named them Money Rangers, but obviously in the Japanese, it was to make fun of tokusatsu shows. Probably Super Sentai. I have not sat down to watch the Japanese language version, just because I'm friends with one of the people in the show, so it's hard for me to switch that track over. I hope we eventually get Turbo Ranger. I know we were going to get it from Shout, but I don't know what's going on now. Yeah. Thing is, like, okay, Turbo Ranger would be fine. Like, I'd be okay with getting Turbo Ranger, but like one of the Sentais I've always wanted to see is Aba Ranger. And it is next right after Hurricaneger. So the fact that it stopped right at Hurricaneger has driven me absolutely bonkers. And then people were like, no, we want Turbo Ranger. And I was like, guys, I already have trouble not calling Car Ranger Turbo Ranger. Like, can we not do Turbo Ranger? Because like, we're ignoring my bed in the background. Just another reminder. So embarrassed by the way my bed looks at the moment. But like, I want Aba Ranger. Give me Aba Ranger. That's all I want. Like see? Turbo Ranger is fine, but I want Aba Ranger. I don't want an older again, older Sentais are fine. Like, give me older Sentais, but like, give me Aba Ranger first, please. Well, a lot of toku actors go on to regular dramas, so it's natural stepping off point. Yeah, I've heard that toku is a really good like beginning point for a lot of actors in Japan. Maybe you said that last week. I don't know. I've heard that somewhere. Maybe you said it last week. My memory is terrible. You still need to finish Die Ranger. Finish Die Ranger. It's so good. It's one of my favorites. So good. Die Ranger is so darn good. Completely not adaptable because there's a lot of death. But like, I mean, I guess they've killed people in Power Rangers though. I'm not going to say who they've killed, but they have killed characters in Power Rangers. Exactly. What are you doing, Matthew? Finish Die Ranger. It's so good. Die Ranger is genuinely one of my favorites. It was my favorite until Mega Ranger. And then Mega Ranger was my favorite until Time Ranger. I think I'm about to get wine. Do you have wine? I have wine. A snack in a minute. Thanks. Thanks. You know I can't handle compliments. My mother handed me a compliment and wine, but I like the wine more than I like the compliment. I can't handle compliments well. Yeah, like I said, you may have been the one that said that last week to me. I don't know. I've heard it. No, you need to be watching Die Ranger. Watch it, Matthew. It's so good. So good. That was the first time I ever watched I mean, that's not true. Okay, no. Jetman was the first time I watched a Sentai and was like, oh, this is messed up. I mean, okay, Zyuranger's messed up too, but Sentai's messy. Like there was a while where you could have a pretty good idea who the next year's Kamen Rider was going to be because it was just the previous John Boy. Oh, interesting. Good to know. Interesting. Yes, my mom is very sweet. So Saturdays and Sundays we tend to snack. We don't really like eat meals. We have two meals. So we eat breakfast in the morning, we have dinner at night. Breakfast is pretty early because we're all super duper early morning people. And then dinner is right around 7. And I like to have breakfast and dinner with my parents on the weekends because I live in their mother-in-law suite and it's nice to have like free food from my parents. And my dad's really good at cooking breakfast. And we had breakfast burritos this morning. It was delicious. But then on the weekends, they just kind of make a few like hors d'oeuvre kind of things and we just kind of have them. And so I haven't eaten since breakfast today though, because I've been busy spring cleaning, which again, we're ignoring my bed. And I keep saying it, which is just going to bring people's attention to my disgusting bed. Anyway, sorry, it's disgusting. Unlike this wine's delicious. It's not as flavorful as some, but it's good. I need to see Just Beyond, like just in general. I need to watch more Toku just in general. There's so many on my list that I need to watch. And I'll get to it when my brain feels like it wants to watch subtitled things because I'm dyslexic. So a lot of times subtitled stuff, I have to be in the right mood for it. And I'm just not in the right mood for it right now. So Jenyon is like a male idol actor magazine, kind of like Teen Beat. Oh, I have no idea if Teen Magazine still exists here either, but I remember Teen Beat or like 17 Magazine. I remember that one too. I will tell her hi when she comes back down with my snacks, which when she comes back down with my snacks is probably when I'm probably going to come to an end with this because I don't necessarily want it to turn into a mukbang. But I mean, if you guys don't mind it being a mukbang, we can absolutely make it a mukbang. I don't care. But we'll see. I mean, that's technically the way humans are supposed to eat is through snacks. We're not meal animals. We're like grazing animals. So, because we're not necessarily opportunistic eaters because we're gatherers. We're hunters and gatherers, but we're more or less gatherers. So scientifically, we are supposed to snack. That is scientifically how our bodies are supposed to be fed. But that's somewhere down the line socially that changed. I'll snack on wine all day though, if I want to. I'm kidding. I don't drink wine until apparently 2:45 in the afternoon. Dylan, you are a snack. You are a snack and you know it. And I tell every single male friend, especially if he also enjoys the male friends. You love mukbangs, so you're down. But if you're not about that life, understand. I don't mind a mukbang. Like, and technically they're supposed to be live anyway, because that's like the point. That's the cultural point of them. Americans have just messed it up. So, you know. I don't know what you're talking about. I always eat as much raw elk as possible in a single feeding before my pack mates get to it. Oh, yeah. You know, I mean, there you go. I mean, maybe you are an opportunistic eater. I don't know your life. I'm just saying, scientifically, humans are not. Maybe you're not human. Is there something you're not telling us? You know. But no, I like mukbangs. I enjoy watching them. I enjoy eating with the people that do them. And like I said, culturally, that was the whole point. Because culturally, it's like really frowned upon in Korea to eat alone. So people do mukbangs live so that they're not eating alone, which I love. I think that's great. And then it came over to this side of the world and we turned it into eat as much fast food as humanly possible in one sitting, and a binge eater's paradise, which is why when I do mukbangs, I always worry about it because like I literally can't eat like that because I have, binge eating disorder. So if I allow myself to binge eat, I will. And that's going to be a step back from where it should be. I mean, the Canadians don't always mess things up. I mean, they mess things up, but not as bad as as people from the United States. So not all Americans mess things up. And actually, it was a Canadian friend that like told me not to like call myself an American. Like he's like, if you're an American, I'm American, but I'm like, but I'm actually like from here. And he's like, no. You're not the only country on this continent. And I was like, oh. So it was actually a Canadian friend that convinced me to stop calling United States America. Unless I'm making fun of it, then I do. But yeah, people from the United States messing things up. No, never. We are the cancer of this world. I mean, aren't we? Aren't we? Anyway, that's a whole different conversation to have. I probably should eat something soon though, because like, okay, so fun fact. So I made references on my Twitter one day because I'm like a super healthy person, despite the fact that I'm like morbidly obese according to the BMI. But anyway, I've always known that I'm hypoglycemic. And one of the things that people can't understand is the fact that I'm not diabetic because I'm large, right? So for non-Americans, what are we? United States. That's actually what Sari says. United Statesians. I just say people from the United States. But anyway, so anyway, I've always known I'm hypoglycemic, and I'm a non-diabetic hypoglycemic. It has nothing to do with diabetes. It has everything to do with the fact that I just have an overworked my pancreas works really hard, right? I have a lot of insulin in my body constantly. And what are we? A problem. Absolutely. But yeah, so I always get fat shamed by doctors constantly fat shamed by doctors, right? And I actually was told once that they were going to put me on metformin without checking my glucose. Like, okay, I'm sure they would have had to have checked my glucose levels in order for them to actually put me on metformin. But the doctor was like, my PCP at the time, personal care provider, told me specifically, well, I think we should put you on metformin because of a condition I have. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which can be related directly to diabetes. So a lot of people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome tend to have diabetes. And I'm like, but I'm hypoglycemic. Metformin would literally kill me. And she's like, I don't think so. Because usually people who are heavy set tend to be diabetic because they have trouble losing weight due to, all of the sugar in their blood. I was like, actually, that's not necessarily true. My uncle is an endocrinologist. So like, don't get on me. And I'm like, actually, people with a lot of insulin also have trouble losing weight because there's insulin in their body, and insulin makes it harder for people to lose weight because of the hormone imbalance. And she's like, I don't think that's true. And I was like, I have an endocrinologist uncle, like, but don't mess with me. And she goes, I'd like to talk with him because I've never heard that before. And I'm like, oh my God. And not only is he an endocrinologist, but he has spent his whole life's work is studying diabetes. For his privacy, I'm not going to say what his name is. But yeah, he's like a world-renowned endocrinologist studying diabetes. And anyway, and so that was really loud in my ears. I just got a notification. Anyway, and so she tricked me into a diabetes test and my blood sugar without fasting, because I didn't fast because I didn't know I was getting a glucose test that day. my blood sugar, my glucose levels without fasting was 90, which is where it should be when you're fasting. So I did my biometrics for work. I did a home test. I got my results this week and I fasted. My glucose levels were 52. Don't ever think I'm diabetic ever again. Nobody should ever think that. But in that, like my body's like, oh, body positivity. We're not unhealthy because you're fat. So funny. I am the pinnacle of health at all sizes. So, but yeah, I thought that was just a funny little anecdote about my life recently. But yeah, so that's that. Any other like things that we want to talk about today? Because, you know, clearly we're still talking about Dino Fury. Oh, we're not even like doing, oh my goodness, I forgot to like change this even. Goodness gracious. Let's just change, just talking now. We're just talking. We're just having fun. One day I'll do my job properly. It's only the second time I've done a live stream, guys. I mean, for this, I've done live streams in the past. And every time I have anxiety about it. Anybody else want to talk about anything fun? Anybody got some fun stories to tell? Because most of my fun stories are not fun, because most of my stories right now are just about me struggling. Clearly. Anyway. So, you know, just trying to live the life. But if nobody has anything else to talk about, we can probably end it here and just enjoy the rest of our day. And I need to get ready for filming anyway, because I got to figure out, I mean, I know what I'm going to film, but I just need to like figure it out. But I hope you guys enjoy the videos that are coming out. I'm kind of changing things up a little bit with my channel. I've set up a schedule, which will be interesting if anybody picks up on what I've done. But I have specific weeks for specific types of videos now. And I'm like almost 2 months ahead again, I think is what I think I'm where I'm at. I'm almost 2 months ahead. So eventually I'll be able to take another break. Probably when when we're on a hiatus for Dino Fury. Oh. Are you a magician? Or are you a magician's assistant? Because usually it's the magician's assistant that disappears for a second. Are you a magician's assistant? Because, oh, I think my snacks are here. Come on in. I think my snacks are here. My snacks are here. You got some snacks. Dylan says hi.
Hi, Dylan.
No pizza this week?
No, tomorrow.
Oh, we're doing that tomorrow. Okay. Cheese. And Lactaid, because I'm lactose intolerant. So there you go. All right, well, my snacks are here. I have to get ready for filming. It is 3 o'clock. I think it's time for me to say adios. And everybody should go to Dylan's channel later, as he will be doing a, what is the snacks? I have blocks of cheese. I don't know what kind of cheese, but they're blocks of cheese. My parents know what kind of cheeses I like and don't like. So there you go. We've got some of these little crackers here. I've got a whole lot of marinara, along with 2 Pillsbury croissant rolls that are turned into mozzarella sticks. That's what it is. Anyway, come to Dylan's channel later. He's live streaming. I don't know what his live stream is about. Dylan, what's your live stream about? I don't know what kind of cheese. And I forgive you for being a Wisconsinite. Minnesotan. Our football teams don't like each other. It's fine. Even though your football team is far more superior than mine will ever be. Okay, so Dylan will be doing a reading live stream at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys want to sit down and read, I might actually join and do some reading, because I've not read recently and there are things that I need to. Mine will be comics. Is that okay, Dylan? Can we read comics? Because I need to read some of the Power Rangers comics. I have not done enough of that. I've read the Psycho Ranger one, and that is it. that is it. And his friend Rachel will be joining him. So yes, please stop by Dylan's channel, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That will be 7 o'clock my time. So 7 o'clock standard or Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So stop by Dylan's channel, Dynamic Dylan on YouTube, and hang out with him at his reading live stream and give him some likes and give him some views and give him some interactions, because we love Dylan. And if you're watching this later in the day and it is still a time, go to his channel. Can you read comics? Maybe. Okay, yes, I got confirmation. You can read comics. I also have an Animorphs comic that is the first book that I haven't read yet. So I may be coming to do some reading because I need to read some comics. So come and hang out at Dylan's channel. Again, that is going to be Dynamic Dylan. He'll be doing his reading live stream at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So again, 6 o'clock if you're in the Mountain Time Zone, 7 o'clock if you are in the Central Time Zone, and 8 o'clock if you are in the Eastern Time Zone. Come hang out. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.